Hey y'all, emergency player here. Taking your first steps is always difficult. And when I did mine, I fell down the stairs in the Philippines. Oh, that's why I'm like that. But eventually you'll take your second step, then third, fourth, fifth, and 13 years later, you'll find yourself running in last place for a 5K in cross country because your school ran out of PE classes to place you in. But that first step is always going to be the one that got you there. My first steps into game development didn't happen until I got into college. I've always edged the idea of making my own games, but never fully committed to the idea. Cowboy Zelda was my first time properly working on a game engine to make a top-down cowboy shooter inspired by The Legend of Zelda on the NES. It was a daunting and difficult start, but just like anyone's first steps, all it takes is the first one. And just like my first steps, this fell down the stairs and caused permanent damage to my brain. Wait, okay, Future Lawrence here for a disclaimer before the actual video starts. This game was made for educational purposes, literally being made by a freshman CS major in college. The game has nothing to do with the Legend of Zelda franchise other than taking inspiration from its top-down perspective like so many games have done. I make no money from this game. The game's completely free on itch.io. The title does use the name Zelda, but that's just the character's name in the same way that Zelda Williams is her name. It has nothing to do with the actual Legend of Zelda franchise. Nintendo, please don't sue me. I'm like your biggest glazer, and I pre-ordered the Switch too, if that helps at all. When I joined my university's game development club, I already missed a month's worth of meetings. Luckily, I was bored enough to try the most important meeting of the semester. The game pitches. The game pitches define the Cal Poly Pomona Game Development Club. Our club lives off of the motto that anyone can make a game, and the game pitches make that motto into a reality. So this is how it works. Anyone, regardless of experience, can submit an application to pitch a game to the club. On pitch day, everyone who applied will present their game idea to the club. They'll talk about what the game is about and who they're looking for. What is the minimum viable product? Everyone else will have the opportunity to join the game that interests them most. These teams will have the semester to work on the game's minimum viable product, or MVP. At the end of the semester, an event will be hosted for the teams to show off their work throughout that semester. So how is the Cowboy Zelda pitch?
So basically it's Legend of Zelda 2D dungeon crawler. But it's gonna be cowboy based.
This pitch convinced me to join the team as a programmer. In our first meeting, Tony mentioned that he had a specific role in the club that would have him miss every other meeting. He asked for someone to be his second in command to help him lead during the meetings that he would miss. For some reason I volunteered, with no prior game dev experience, mind you. Every week the team would have a meeting, but overall progress was very slow. Just a few art assets from Jonah here and there, or some music from Princess, but not a lot of code. Then, the last week approached. I genuinely thought I would get kicked out of the club if I presented an unfinished game. So that weekend, I got to work. I opened up Unity and started watching every Brackeys video you could imagine, from top-down movement to the animator. YouTube, in general, was a really amazing resource to use for this project. For 3 days straight, I was working on this game to get it done. In my mind, my future in this club was dependent on this project. After pulling my only all-nighter in college, on Tuesday morning, I compiled everything I had and went into that meeting, apologizing profusely. Then the president at the time was like, "Bro, you didn't have to finish the game." Little did I know, the president herself pitched a game and didn't finish it either. So then I presented the game, realizing that it was not that serious. But even though it wasn't perfect, I was proud of what I had. So what did this game even have? Just like the pitch, the game is a top-down NES Zelda style game, but with a cowboy. You shoot in the direction of where your character moves, but this time with a 360 direction. And each bullet is one shot, one kill. Because I didn't know how to code a health system. There are 3 enemy types. The skeletons, enemies that walk towards you and shoot projectiles at you. The bird, which moves around randomly until you enter its range, and then it dives at you. And Train Man, which was a concept I had when I made a game in Scratch and tried to make a Rivals of Aether character but gave up. He just shoots a shit ton of bullets at you. In terms of maps, there are 4 main maps and 1 secret map. There's the opening desert, then we have 2 caves/mines, and then finally the final desert, which features a bar. The secret map is this red area for me to vent when I was making the game. Without looking at the problems, this game was very simple and functions as a very slow position-based top-down shooter. where you need to time your positioning and shots very carefully to eliminate enemies and move closer to the objective. Now, what were the problems? The problems can be split up into two sections: poor game design decisions and bugs. In terms of poor game design decisions, there were a few. Let's talk about hitboxes. So in Cowboy Zelda, the enemy hitboxes are smaller than the art itself, because for some reason I thought I should artificially add challenge. Making these hitboxes smaller than what you see on screen is literally the opposite of what you should be doing in a single player game. You should make them a bit larger to give more leeway to the player themselves, because not everything's going to be pixel perfect, but for some reason, again, I made it smaller. This hitbox issue brings us to the most problematic enemy in the game. Because the bird itself was already so small and fast, being 3 times faster than the player, its hitbox being smaller made the bird notoriously difficult to kill. Especially that shooting could only be aimed by the player direction and not the mouse. This difficulty would lead to the Train Man boss fight was also a very problematic design decision. It was just a skeleton code, but the firing rate was insane for the bullets. It would create this line of bullets that would head towards you. Now the problem is where Train Man is positioned. If you go up, you are guaranteed to fail as all the other skeletons in the area, and then you'll have to go back down, but you can't go back down because there's a line of bullets stopping you. This means that there's only one possible pathway to avoid Train Man, and it also means that it's not really a fight. It's just more like dodging the attacks and trying to get to the bar, which is your objective. But now let's focus on bugs. There's one major bug that defines Cowboy Zelda, and that is the bullet soft lock. So remember how I said this? And each bullet is one shot, one kill, because I didn't know how to code a health system. So that works because any bullet script can destroy any other object on impact, and that leads to scenarios like this. Because these objectives are the only way to move on to the next area, these effectively soft lock you into the game. Obviously, this could be solved with one if statement, but 2020 freshman year CS major Lawrence did not know that, so he didn't realize that this was an issue until he tested it on the day of the presentation. This bug became one of the funniest moments in the club and also defined my game. It was rough, but I got a lot of encouragement from older members of the club when they realized this was my first one, and also that I had no prior experience, which was very helpful for me to accept the fact that this game was okay. So after finishing this game, what did I learn? In terms of skills, I learned a lot of Unity, C#, and most importantly GitHub. I think Git was the most important thing here, and it definitely carried me throughout the rest of college and into my professional career. In terms of game design, there's a lot that I learned. This gave me a newfound appreciation for game development. Definitely isn't easy. The amount of effort that I placed into this game just to make a below average experience was insane. But what's important is that I learned that it was doable. And this was a very important first step that I took for my long game dev journey ahead. This is a smaller side note, but 2 years after creating this game, my friend Jordan, who is also a member of the game development club, took the source code of Cowboy Zelda and then crafted a deluxe version of the game, where it fixed all of the problems of the original Cowboy Zelda and even added quality of life improvements like mouse aiming and a jump to avoid certain enemies. Granted, when we played this rendition of the game, we both agreed that it took away the charm and the magic of the original, which focused on slow positioning and the jankiness that gave it that very special and unique charm. I'll be completely honest, I have not played this game in over 3 years, so when I started working on the game dev journey video, I was low-key dreading playing the game again, because I only remembered how much of a failure it was. But to my surprise, replaying this game gave me a new appreciation for it and let me see things from a different perspective. Then I thought, what if I remade the game? Now I haven't done this remake yet, but some of these design decisions were also inspired by another game that I would eventually work on, but I really do think that taking elements of what makes this game unique, such as the slow position-based top-down shooting elements, and combining them with modern controls, there is really something special here. But all of that is definitely something I would like to try down the road, but I'll get to that when I get there. This game was a lot of firsts for me. First time in Unity, first time coding, and first time making a game. But without the time that I invested into this game, I wouldn't have gone down the path that I went on. This experience laid down the foundation for my first game project that I would lead the following semester. And yeah, this game isn't objectively good by any metric or standard. But just like my first steps, sometimes you just need to fall down the stairs in the Philippines. Ha! You thought I was gonna fall down the stairs again. I'm not that. Baby, lock them doors and turn the lights down low. Put some music on that's soft and slow. Baby, we ain't got no place to go. I hope you understand. I've been thinking about this all day long. Never felt a feeling quite this strong. I can't believe how much it turns me on just to be your man. Where am I? There's no hurry, don't you worry. We can take our time.